Today's video is with Jacob Braun, and Jacob and Jacob's going to become a regular presenter on our channel, and he's going to do some stock analysis, and he's going to use a new piece of a portal that we have found called Stock Card that we both believe does a phenomenal job of analyzing stocks using artificial intelligence and doing it in such a way that it gives you the ability to filter through and choose the way you want to analyze stocks as opposed to relying on somebody else's priorities. It's built around your priorities. It's called Stock Card. In the description, you're going to find a link to it, and you're going to find a code. The code is Carrie, and you can sign up and get a discount on it. I'm high on this. How about you, Jacob? You've used it.
Yeah, I really like the product. I think the biggest thing for me, at least, is trying to find my next stock. And I think that this platform really helps simplify it. And I really like their user interface. It's very intuitive and it has a very clean look to it.
The other thing that we feel very privileged of is both of us had the opportunity to speak to the founder, the creator of it. She is a young lady with a lot of Silicon Valley experience, and she's gone out and built this, and you're going to get a first look at it as Jacob and I take a look at Teladoc. Now, I was a holder of Teladoc, but as we came out of the quarantine mode, if you will, with the virus, I felt that it was going to take a drop down, much as Peloton and even what we're using right now, Zoom has, and I was right. So I pulled out of Teladoc, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity for me, anyway, to get Jacob's take on it. This is a field. You're in at the University of South Florida, and what is it you're studying?
I study computer science.
Okay, and he has a very striking interest in the biotech world. And although that Teladoc is not biotech, it is going to be a part of the medical revolution. What we've got to decide, he and I, is where exactly are they going to fit in. So with that, Jacob, you've done a lot of work on it. I want to turn it over to you and walk us through your thoughts on Teladoc and where it's going to fit in the future.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Carrie. Real quick, I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah. So I'm really excited about Teladoc because I don't think it's really something to argue about. The internet is the wave of the future, specifically being able to do things from your home, making life easier. So Teladoc is one of those apps that is really on the forefront of this. Some people called it a pandemic stock. And I think this is a very good description of it because the pandemic showed us how valuable this kind of a company can be. So another pandemic stock that I want to kind of look into and compare it to is Zoom, but we'll do that in a little bit. Specifically, just looking over what they do as a company. They're basically an online health service provider. So this is directly from their website. You come in, you create an account. Once you create an account, they can connect you to people for medical care, all from your home, different types of medical professions. And then from there, you can get alerts about prescriptions. They can set you up with an in real person healthcare professional, or they could diagnose you over the phone. So basically what this does is lets you get healthcare at your time, at your convenience from wherever you are. And that's the future. People don't want to have to go and wait in a doctor's office for an hour to be seen. People don't want to have to schedule their days around a doctor's office. And Teladoc lets that happen. So I think that's a really cool feature of Teladoc. And I think they're moving in the right direction.
Okay.
So if we look at the stock specifically, we're going to use stock card here as mentioned earlier, and stock card really breaks it down into simple categories of what we want to see about the stock. So overall, investors are pessimistic about this investment. I think what that is, like Carrie said, a pandemic sell-off because people are seeing us gain back into the real economy. But I also think that's in part due to the Fed talking about the raising interest rates. In essence, when the Fed raises interest rates, people move their money to safer investments. So you're going to find people putting money in value companies, and you're going to find people buying more bonds. So you're going to get reduced investment in risky investments. So if we look at Teladoc, because it's a company that we're investing for future growth. So in essence, when you have higher inflation, that future cash flow isn't worth as much. So when right now with the economic conditions, people are moving away from these risky companies with high growth. You see this across the whole tech sector and moving into safer plays. So I think that's part of the reason that this stock is getting beaten down also. But what that does is it presents a very favorable buying opportunity if this is a stock we believe in. But I would say if you intend to invest, this is not going to be a short-term investment. Invest for the long term, invest for a longer holding period. Just because the current economic conditions aren't going to allow for that rapid growth, you're going to invest to hold. But I think they have the right idea with the technology. So again, they mark this as a high growth potential, and I agree with that, and undervalued. If we look at the chart here, the 5-year chart, we can see coming into the pandemic, we're seeing around 60, 70, and then we explode all the way up to 300. So from that 60 before the pandemic up to 300, that's a 5 times gain. So that's a massive gain in, just over a year time. So that's incredible. And then we see the downside of people rotating from what we say pandemic stocks into more traditional investments. And so that's how we go from 300 all the way back down to our current price of 80. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it to another pandemic stock real quick, just for the stock chart of Zoom. I think many people have heard of Zoom. Right here, we go from 50 before the pandemic, explode up to all the way up to almost 600, so almost a 10 times gain. And then we start to fall back down. And again, the rise and then quick rise because of the pandemic and increased use and then fall back down is that same trend we see in Teladoc. So right now, both of these companies, and specifically Teladoc, we're seeing a very good entry price if we're planning to invest. Overall, while I think the analysts, as shown here on Stock Card, is about split. Some say buy, some say hold. I would lean toward giving it a hold. And the reason is not because I don't believe in the technology. I think the technology is perfect. I think it's a very good, they have a very good platform. They have the right idea. The thing I worry about is competition. What is to prevent every single local healthcare system? For example, I live in Florida. What prevents the UF health system from creating their own version of this app just for the UF health system? The UF health system has a massive draw with probably thousands of doctors. If all their doctors all of a sudden go to only the UF health system app, and all the patients that they've been seeing go to that app, you're really cutting into the market size when you think about how many different healthcare systems across the country could do this. So I think that the long-term potential of this company is to grab the market share of people who are going to see smaller practices and people in rural areas that don't have quick access to a major healthcare system. So I think there is definitely a market. I just do not think the market is going to be the whole United States. I think it's going to be a much more segmented market than some people think. So overall, I would rate it as a hold. I think it has a very promising future. I like its technology, but if I'm going to invest, I'm going to invest for the long term.
My question to what you just said there is that, and I understand that here in Birmingham, it's the UAB, but why would UAB want to build a platform as opposed to and hire all those people to run it, as opposed to subscribing to Teladoc and passing it on as an expense of doing business. I just don't see every small hospital or large hospital organization building their own online platform.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's the real question. Will they incur and work on that on their own? I know, for example, I go to the University of Central Florida. Our healthcare system, we can do televisits with our medical professionals on campus. So our system is already, our med school and our student health services already converting and working on our own system. So I know we're doing that. I'm sure others might be. But like you said, it might be more beneficial. And some hospital systems might think that it's better just to outsource this. If that's the case, then Teladoc is going to have huge potential. Yeah, and very long term, if they can work with multiple hospital systems, they're going to be a major player for a long time to come.
The other thing I think that and again, I'm just relating my own life experiences, I've come to recognize that the best doctors in a given field may not be located here in Birmingham. As I've shared with my audience, my daughter died of cancer, and I honestly believe that there was a potential that maybe things would have been different if we had taken her to A.G. Anderson in Houston. Because they do have, they and Cleveland Clinic have probably two of the best cancer facilities in the world. Jacob, I honestly believe that if Teladoc could give me and convince me that their portal gives me access to the best in the world, I'm going to do that, particularly if I've got cancer or heart disease or something of that nature, and not be limited. I think that's one of the advantages of the internet, is I'm not limited to my local practitioners. I can have access to everybody around the world, and I would argue with you that Teladoc will give me that. Now, is that to a select group of people? Is it more expensive to work through Teladoc than it is through UAB or Central Florida? I don't know. But I think that's, from my point of view, I would want to consider that as an investment. I'm not so sure that every hospital on the corner is going to develop their own platform. But as you say, you feel it's happening already.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that right there kind of shows the bull case compared to a neutral or bearish case.
Yeah. So now I guess we're on, and maybe this is your point counterpoint type thing, and that's of value. I think at this point, my feeling is I want to watch it, and I want to watch it more from a point of view of how is Zoom going to come out of this? How is Peloton going to come out of this? What is going to be the lasting effect of this coronavirus? Are we all going to go back to the gym and allow our Peloton bike collect dust and no longer be interested in it? Are we all going to go back to the office, or are we going to continue to use Zoom? Are we going to get on an airplane to have meetings just like this? I could have flown to Orlando and I could have been sitting next to you, but we have chosen not to do that for a whole lot of reasons. So I'm interested to see where Teladoc does come out. I'm going to sit on the sidelines, but I'm going to watch it carefully. Another reason I am is that Cathie Woods, I think this is in her top 10. And I have a lot of respect for Cathie Woods and her team. So this is high on my watch list.
Yeah, and I think I'm pulling up ARK right here. So ARK Innovation is the Cathie Woods flagship fund. And for people who don't know about Cathie Wood, she's kind of had a very
Wait a
fast.
second. You pulled it up on Stock Card, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Stock Card kind of shows the general information real quick in a quick, easy to visual platform for ARK Innovation. And really, ARK Innovation is Cathie Wood's flagship fund, and where she really made her namesake specifically during COVID. If you look at her returns, she took this fund from $40 to a high of almost 150. So that's about a 3x return in an ETF, which is incredible.
Yes, that is incredible because of the diversity of the ETF. Yes,
For sure.
That is incredible. Wow.
And when anytime Cathie Wood believes in a company, you're going to see a lot of people look at the company just because of that. And I think Teladoc, like you're saying, is one to watch no matter what. One, because Cathie Wood's looking at it, but two, it's just got a very interesting story and potential.
Yes, I think so. I think it is a company of the future, and I concur with you. If you have a question about a stock, one of the places should go is ARK Invest. And I was unaware that you can have. Does this give you the ability to look at what her major holdings are?
Yeah, it actually does. And it gives a tons of details. One interesting thing about ARK Invest is that it is an actively managed fund. Yeah. So there is not just following the market caps of companies, that there's people actually looking at companies and trading based on catalysts, just like a normal investor would. So in a sense, you're investing in a hedge fund of sorts, you're buying into management. Yeah. But yeah, Stock Card is an incredible platform that gives you a lot of information down to different analytic tools that they have calculated out, dividends, exposure, on and on. And then we can go down to the holdings, and the holdings, you can look at each one of their Stock Card with a quick link over to that page. So definitely I'd recommend Stock Card. And the other thing about Stock Card is if I go to Tesla, I can look at what ETFs are holding it. So it kind of goes both ways. ETFs, what they're holding, and what ETFs are holding a company. So I think that's a very cool feature of Stock Card.
Are you aware of any software similar to this?
No, I'm not really aware of any software that is this clean and modernized and gives you all this information in one page. And again, that's what I really like. And being so young, I appreciate a very modern and very clean, elegant interface. And I think Stock Card has that, whereas a lot of older, clunkier stock platforms just don't have that.
Okay. All right. How long you been working on it?
Yeah, I've been looking at Stock Card now for a few weeks. Okay. So it's pretty new, but I'm really liking it.
Okay. All right. Again, to the viewers, if this is something that you want to look into further, go down into the description. You'll find a link and, again, a code, which is Carrie, that you can get a discount and sign up for it, and see if it doesn't broaden your capabilities to make good financial decisions. Anything you want to add, Jacob?
Well, thank you for having me on here, as always, Carrie.
Okay, Jake, before we went on, Jake, for those of you who have watched, Jacob and I have had several conversations relative to Netlist. We're going to have another one real soon.
Yeah, for sure. Netlist is a very interesting one.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us. And Jacob is going to become a regular on our Discord, and where he's going to share his portfolio. And you're actually going to be able to, we're setting up the ability that you will be able to see his buys and sells. You'll be notified or given alerts. So we're going to broaden your exposure to different investment strategies beyond that of Carrie. So thanks again for watching, and let's work together to make some good financial decisions. Let's work together to learn our tax code so that we keep more of what we make. And then let's take advantage and build some family wealth that we can change the lives of those who follow us. Talk to you again tomorrow.